Hey guys, welcome to today's episode of Community Links, where service meets students. I'm Caitlin Pages.
And I'm Alyssa McFadden. On today's episode, we're going to get to talk with a representative from Cradles to Crayons.
Later, Alyssa and I will talk with Sarah Dundas to discuss her role in LaSalle's Reache program.
Without further ado, we're here with Michael Smith to talk about Cradles to Crayons. Thank you so much for joining us today.
And thank you so much for inviting me.
It's really a great cause, and we wanted to reach out and get to know a little bit more about how it works and how LaSalle students can get involved.
Absolutely. Yeah. There are about two sides to our mission. We're a mission-focused business. I always think we operate like a business, but we try and fulfill a mission which is in two parts. And one of it is providing everyday essentials to kids aged 0 to 12. Mm-hmm. So that's pack and plays, that's diapers, that's new socks, new underwear, pajamas, school supplies, toys, books.
Everything these kids need.
Everything.
Absolutely everything.
Yeah. But we do that by engaging communities that have the resources to either volunteer or supply product or even financial resources to help us help those children. And we can do that by engaging kids as young as 6 in that work. So it's transformational for some children to suddenly realize that not every child in the Philadelphia region has the things that they have.
Yeah. And I can say from experience that I absolutely love the organization. A group that I work with here on campus, ESA, goes there about twice a month, every Saturday. And it's wonderful. Like, the way you have it set up is fantastic. The quality control you go through to make sure that the clothes aren't just available for these people, but they're also in good shape. They don't have any stains, nothing religiously or certain school affiliated, anything like that. And then you just kind of line everyone up, and we just make like a factory system going down, putting things in bags. And it's really like the people who work there are fantastic, and even the volunteers. It's just like an aura to it that's fantastic.
And I didn't pay you to say that.
No, no.
So I really thank you for that. And I think the thing that you pick on that's really, really important to us is the issue of quality. We believe that the children who put on the clothing and the moms who put that clothing on their children can feel really proud that they've got something really nice to put on their child. Yeah. And I think the really great thing is that you're coming back every couple of weeks. We need about 2,000 volunteers every single month.
Wow.
Because we're going to be helping about 55,000 children this year.
Wow. That's such a large reach. Would you say that has increased over the past couple of years, or you say does that continue to increase dramatically per month? Like, how would you say, do you reach
it's
more?
A really interesting point about the fact that it is sadly increasing. There are probably about 400,000 children that we could help in the region. And I think we don't think about Philadelphia as being a poor city, but it's actually the second poorest city in the nation after Detroit, and it has the highest rate of deep poverty in the nation. And that is actually in areas very close to this university. There are families who are living in what we call deep poverty. It's where a family of 4 is living on less than $15,000 a year. And I know what the tuition rates are here at LaSalle. So you can reflect on that relative to $15,000 for a family of 4, and you realize that the family income doesn't go very far.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a problem. And to know that as you're packing that, the last time I was there, we actually did hats and gloves, and we were packing them for all different ages, and boys and girls. And I think it's pretty exciting. I don't want to take away from the fact that you're giving back, but it is fun because you get to pick out the different styles for the different kids, and as you're matching the hats and gloves together, you're like, oh, this kid's gonna look fabulous. And it's just it's a lot of fun, I have to say. You get to deal with like all the little kid clothes, and it is a good time, I'm not gonna lie.
Well, that's really interesting because the hat and glove matches, when we get to the shopping stage, which is where our volunteers go around and shop for an individual child whose name they know and age they know, and some of the circumstances surrounding why they are needing a kid pack. People pick out the hat and glove packs, make sure they match the coat, make sure they match the snow boots, and make sure that the clothing matches as well. So that matching piece is really great because, again, a family feels really good about getting a pack that looks like that. And for boys, there are all kinds of things that Guy students can do. We have cleaning shoes, we have all of the mechanics of some of the toys that are really complex sometimes. And frankly, although guys can do it, we find that 5-year-old kids can normally do the toys better than us and make sure that they work. So there are plenty of things to do.
You can say that a lot of love goes into it too.
A lot of love goes into every single kid pack, yes.
Yeah, I believe that. So if you could just give us a brief kind of history, you don't have to go way far back, but kind of how Cradles to Crayons came about, why it came about specifically in this area, I guess, because you were talking about the poverty levels in Philadelphia. Just kind of a brief idea of why it's here and why it's important.
Well, it actually doesn't go back very far here in Philadelphia. We started in 2007, but it was actually founded in Boston in 2002, and we're about to open in Chicago in 2016, in the middle of 2016.
Oh, that's great.
So we've been here since 2007. We started in Horsham in a warehouse that was 8,000 square feet. We're now in a warehouse in Conshohocken, which is 16,000 square feet.
My goodness.
And if you've been there, you've seen we're bursting at the seams.
Yeah.
And we hope to be moving to a 40,000 square foot warehouse, which will enable us to serve twice the number of children in the next couple of years.
And maybe
That's
on
so
a
great.
less steep hill.
Yes, we are located on the top of a hill for those of you who haven't been there. And frankly, we've got snow coming, and the winter is always a challenge for us as to whether we have to close, because it's sad for us when we close. It means we can't produce what we need to produce, and it means that children have to wait for the things that they desperately need.
Definitely.
One other interesting aspect that I like, I'm always talking about like what's inside the warehouse, because it really is another world in there. But one interesting thing that I like, part of the process for the volunteers, is with the toys, along with quality control, we also add batteries to them, and I think that's really nice, because usually when you get a toy from a store, it's like, oh, batteries aren't included, but from Cradles to Crayon, they are. They
The
are
batteries
included.
are, yeah. And we always check to make sure that if it's a puzzle or a game, that the instructions are included. We have people who download all of those instructions, and every single puzzle has all the pieces counted.
Wow.
Oh, man.
Because we really don't want a kid to get to the end of making a puzzle and find there's one piece missing.
Yeah. Oh, that would be upsetting.
That would be
for
really
anyone. I mean, even adults. No,
Yes.
absolutely though. So how do you collect your materials? Do you have kind of like pickup bins, drop-off bins, or I know like companies like Purple Heart will come up to your doorstep and get stuff. How do you collect your materials?
That's a really good question, because obviously if you're serving 55,000 children, that's a lot of stuff. It's 11,000 winter coats alone, and so we need the hat and gloves that go with those. So we have a group that basically reach out to schools, because we're dealing with kids 0 to 12, so many kids in school are that age and they're wearing out of their clothing. And then we go out into the community, to churches, faith-based organizations, and then corporations do wonderful collections for us as well. The community around Philadelphia and in Philadelphia is very, very generous. And we do have 18 drop sites in the region that tend not to be like, I'm not going to mention any of our competitors, but, but they tend to be friends of Cradles to Crayons who've generously agreed to collect product for us at convenient hours and convenient locations, and then they actually actively bring it to our warehouse. So that keeps our costs down, so that again we can serve more children.
That's great. That's a lot of kind of the behind the scenes, I guess, that Caitlin has directly volunteered, but it's kind of the logistics part. You don't think about the other costs associated with gathering all those materials and having employees, I guess. But something else I wanted to ask about was, with your volunteers, how would you reach out to them? How do you get people to come in, I guess, besides word of mouth?
Yeah, that's another great question. We have shifts that run all week. They are 2-hour shifts. We've discovered that people can't stand on a concrete floor for much longer than that without getting really, really tired. So we have 2-hour shifts. We have some evening shifts and we have some weekend shifts. And anyone can sign up online at our website, cradlestocrayons.org, and book themselves in for a shift, and we can always do with help. We need about 2,000 volunteers a month to do what we do.
Wow.
And so we love your repeat visits, and especially then because you're trained, and it makes the quality of the work we do so much better.
Yeah. And we were talking briefly about this before, but what are some of the items that you may see a lack of in the warehouse that you might need more of, that if people are going shopping and they are doing fundraisers that they could go shopping for and buy some of these items. What are some of the items that you encourage people to drop off?
That's, again, the thing for us is that you can start at a very low entry point. A pack of pencils is really, we want to ensure that every kid has school supplies. And we're one of the few agencies that supplies school supplies all year round, although we do supply backpacks when people are getting ready for school. And so brand new socks, brand new underwear, those are again a low entry point. But we can also take small adult sizes, and certainly many of our children have big feet. And sneakers in the bigger sizes, adult 1 to 11. We are always in need of sneakers because everybody wants to wear great sneakers.
And everyone grows out, kids grow out of sneakers so quickly that it's hard. I understand that.
And boys' pants. Boys are very, very hard on their pants. And so we always have a trouble with boys' pants. So.
Gotcha. Well, we don't have that much time left. We have about 2 minutes. So if you want to give us kind of how you got involved, just a quick story, because a lot of people who come on, they have connections or they just feel called to do nonprofits. So how did you get involved with Cradles to Crayons?
Well, for most of my working career, I was actually in the for-profit world, and I think that has been one of the most useful trainings for working in nonprofits. I've now been at Cradles for about 5 years, and I actually applied to work there twice. And the first time I applied, I was going to be their fundraiser. And I got halfway through the interview process and things just weren't mapping out quite right. And so I withdrew my application and then kicked myself for 18 months thinking, this is the best place I've ever seen. I'd been watching the agency when it first came to Philadelphia and thought it was just a brilliant model, very efficient, very cost effective and serving kids exactly where they need it. And then I applied again about 18 months later and was lucky enough to get the job I now hold. And it's
great.
One of the best jobs I've had.
I just love hearing that because I know my goal, I guess, is to work in nonprofits. So I love hearing the good nonprofit stories, I guess. So
we also love, especially as college students who are kind of looking for their direction in life, we love hearing that people found their niche and are really comfortable with where they are. So thank you so much for being on here today. It was an absolute joy, and I hope to see you again sometime. If you ever stop by the warehouse and I'm there, I'll definitely say hello.
Please do. Please come to my office in the back.
Oh, I will.
Thank you so much, Michael. We really appreciate it. So after this quick commercial break, we're going to get to meet Sarah Dundas from Reache. Stay tuned.
Yes.
It's a school night. With Gary and Todd?
Yeah?
Not sure about those two.
I've been meaning to ask you.
This is tougher than I thought.
Is there any drinking going on in this crowd?
No.
I hope not, because alcohol can lead you to say things and do things that you really wish you hadn't.
Isn't this what you're supposed to say?
I know.
So if any of your buddies ever pressure you to take a drink, just tell them you promised your dad you wouldn't.
I'd do anything to keep you safe.
Okay, I will.
I hope this is working.
I promise. Love you too, Dad.
They really do hear you.
Brian.
Yeah?
So start the conversation even before they're teenagers.
Good idea.
For tips on what to say, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. A message from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration.
You might feel like there's too many problems in the world, or that, you as a 15-year-old, 16-year-old can't really make a difference.
It's not always about you. It's not just one person. It's a group. It's a team.
Just that simple act is transforming someone else's life.
It's one of the best feelings in the world.
It'll just make you feel so good about yourself.
I'd do anything to convince you just to be a part of this.
Can I go to the sleepover?
Lucy, I want you to promise me something. If there's any drinking, I want you to say, no thanks, not my thing.
Mom.
I promise you, your real friends won't care. Deal?
I promise, Mom.
They really do hear you.
Did you pack your toothbrush?
For tips on how to start the talk, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. A public service message from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration.
We're back with Community Links, the show that brings service to you. We're here with Reach coordinator Sarah Dundas to learn more about where LaSalle extends its reach.
Oh, that was
You like her pun?
I like that.
Hi Sarah, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing great, thanks. Thanks for joining us today. We always appreciate our student guests coming down to the Comm Center. So just to start things off, can you give us a little bit of background about Reach and kind of the programs that you guys are involved in on campus here?
Yeah, so Reach stands for Raising Equality for Adults and Children with Exceptionalities. And we got started in the school year of 2011-2012, and we work with the Special Olympics of Philadelphia. We do a polar bear plunge every year, which all the proceeds of that go to the Special Olympics. And we also have a Spread the Words and the Word week. We've recently also started to branch out and do an autism week, or an autism walk, sorry, in the fall. A lot of different programs do that as well.
Yeah, that's what I knew when I was looking you guys up, that you guys are involved in a lot of different things, which I think is a good thing because it kind of allows you to expand your reach, but reach again with that. But how do you guys kind of decide what you're going to do, what activities and events you're going to be a part of?
Well, we started with working with a team in Northeast Philadelphia, and so we started just doing a practice a week, and then that branched out to 2 practices a week, and then we found another team that was desperately in need for volunteers, and we started going to their practices. So now we go to 3 practices a week.
Oh my gosh.
But we've always done Spread the Words and the Word week. We thought that was an important thing to take back to our campus because we thought we should share what we learn in Special Olympics practice and bring it to campus as like an outreach program and to spread awareness of the inequalities and how harmful that the R word can be to people.
Absolutely. And for the polar bear plunge, something that I've always been interested in doing, have you ever plunged into the cold water for this this event?
We have not had great luck with the event. My freshman year I didn't go, but my sophomore year it was snowing and they were literally chipping away the ice so people could do it. So we were like, no, we're just gonna go home.
Where do you usually go for this?
I always say this name wrong and everyone corrects me, but it's like Neshaminy State Park, I think. Neshaminy State Park.
Yeah.
And yeah, the year before it was snowing and it's never been.
Oh my goodness.
We haven't had great luck with it, but we have done it in the past. I have personally never took the plunge.
Oh my goodness.
I always feel bad because I know like when you hear about, they're usually like different weekends and whatnot, but when you hear one's happening, I believe it was like 3 weeks ago, it was really nice out, and then the next week it was another polar bear plunge somewhere else, and it was freezing and snowing, and I'm like, oh, these poor people, they can't catch a break. So I don't blame you, but that's awesome, all the other work that you do with Reach.
Yeah, most definitely. So coming in as a freshman, were you immediately drawn to be involved with this, or did you kind of feel it out first and then joined later? Just how did you get involved?
So my freshman year, when we all moved in, we had different like freshman activities, and there was a freshman day of service, and I decided to do my day with Reach. So I found Reach through that. I'm a speech language and hearing science major, and I want to work with kids with autism and other disabilities, so it kind of drew me because that's what I want to work, like that population is what I want to work with when I graduate. So I think that's why I got drawn into Reache.
Awesome. I love that.
And I know a lot of people who do work with people who are affected with autism, they say that there's so many positives to it, but there's also some negatives. Would you like to talk about both of them with us?
Well, working with kids with autism can definitely be draining, but it's also very rewarding. It can be very tough because they are a very kind of different population, and they have very like strict things that can set them off, and it's not a textbook thing. There's like a saying that if you meet one person with autism, you've met one person with autism, because everything is so different. One kid can be sensitive to light where he doesn't want to look at it, he wants to be in the dark, and another kid could love the light and be completely enamored by it and just want to look at it all day. So it's tough in the sense that you never know what to expect with any of the kids, but it's definitely rewarding to see them grow and become more independent and learn.
And that definitely drives you to get to know each individual on a much deeper level, I'm sure. Is there any one person that you are absolutely drawn to, that you've gotten to know, worked with a few times or anything?
You don't have to say a name or anything. We're just wondering if you've formed connections.
Out of curiosity.
There's a couple of athletes on our the Special Olympics team that we work with that we've been working with them for many different sports since I was a freshman, and we've just kind of create a relationship with them, and it's just great to see them grow as team members and in their like skills in their sport area. So yeah, it's pretty great.
Make good connections. So I have to ask, what is your favorite sport to helping athletes with?
Floor hockey.
Floor hockey?
That
is not what I expected.
It is the weirdest. It's different than actual floor hockey. It's like, the puck is like a big donut looking thing.
Okay.
And the sticks are just like a stick, like regular, just like, I mean, it's obviously like made for it, but it's just a plain pole looking thing. And the object of it is getting the pole in the middle of the puck, and that's how they dribble it. It's so, the reason for it is that people participating in the sport who don't have the greatest motor control, because that population has some issues with motor control, is more easily accessible to being able to play the sport. But it's very interesting and it's very fun.
Yeah, I never liked floor hockey before, but I feel like I might like that version of it because it sounds a little bit like less intense and kind of more like to the point.
It's still pretty intense, but it's definitely easier to dribble and keep the puck. So
that's really fascinating how they changed the sport a little bit to make it so that it helps the participants as well as like engaging them more. Do they do that with any of the other sports that you can think of?
Not that we've witnessed. We've done soccer and volleyball and basketball. We've even done bowling, but I don't think any of the other sports were changed in any way. That's like the floor hockey, but yeah.
It's really cool. Oh, that would definitely be my favorite.
I think that sounds like a lot a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm trying to picture it in my head, and I'm like, okay, you got a stick and a donut.
A stick and a donut. Suddenly I'm hungry.
It's like a flat donut, but it's got like a hole in the middle, so they can stick the thing in.
Yeah, still a donut, nonetheless.
So anyway, besides donuts, so how often do you guys go? You said you go 3 times a week. Do you guys go in like large groups or small groups? How do you decide who goes on what and to what group, I should say?
It depends on the day, because people have night classes. Certain people can't go on certain days, but we did floor hockey on Tuesday night, but sadly that just ended last night. And then there's volleyball on Wednesdays, and I think there's another, our second team that we participate with, we go to practices on Saturdays, and they're on volleyball too. So it's pretty much like a first come first basis, but we are definitely looking for more volunteers. So if anybody out there wants to get involved.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah.
It seems like you guys are pretty flexible with the times. If you have 3 different times, like if a Saturday works better or if weekdays work better, that's definitely a good option for busy students.
And that brings us to our next question. How would you suggest a student who is very interested in Reach but missed the first sign up, how would they get involved?
They could go down to University Ministry and Service in the UMass.
Yeah.
In the Newman Annex.
Yeah,
Visit UMass in the Newman Annex. And they can give you information about it. They can give you our contact information. We have an email, and I think it's Reach at LaSalle, but it's Reach
with an E.
Yes, with an E, and at like AT, not the symbol.
Oh.
And then at gmail.com.
Gotcha. All
It's
right.
very confusing. So,
here's the fun part of
yeah,
our
this
show.
is our fun little question. We were talking briefly before, and you said that your program, Reach, does have a theme song. So we would like to know what that is, and you said you won't sing for us.
We won't make you do that.
Yeah, we'll let you go for
Maybe
this
next time.
But what is that theme song and why?
Our theme song is Girls Just Want to Have Fun.
Wow.
Okay.
It came out my sophomore year, and I honestly, for the life of me, cannot remember why we did this. I think because at the time, a lot of girls were going to practice, and then Anthony Carbone was the only guy that was going, so I think we kind of teased him and played it to kind of like tease him a little bit, to like mess him that he was the only guy in the group.
Just stuck.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, that's it for us today. Thank you so much for joining us. If you have any further questions about how to get in contact with Community Links, you can visit our Twitter page, which is CL_LA_SALLE. We love to hear from fans.
Yeah, and thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Community Links. We hope that you find your special place on campus.
Yeah, so thanks so much.
Thank you.